What if I told you that Johnny Depp, yes, the Johnny Depp you've watched for decades on the big screen, has just stepped back into the spotlight in a way no one saw coming? For years, we've been used to seeing him as Jack Sparrow, the quirky pirate who defined an entire generation of moviegoers. We've seen him as Edward Scissorhands, the gentle outsider who made us cry. We've seen him transform into Willy Wonka, the Mad Hatter, and countless other characters that only Depp could bring to life with such eccentricity. But now, after everything he has been through, after the controversies, the trials, and the endless noise of Hollywood gossip, Johnny Depp is back. And he's back in a way that is completely unexpected. Not with a blockbuster sequel, not with another Tim Burton fantasy, but with something called Day Drinker. Now, let's be honest here. The name alone catches you off guard. Day Drinker. It's rebellious. It's edgy. It sounds like a dare and a wink at the same time. And maybe that's why it's already capturing everyone's attention. Fans are buzzing, critics are speculating, and the internet can't stop debating what it actually is. Is it a song? A music project? A lifestyle brand? Or maybe it's all of those things rolled into one. Whatever it is, people are saying it could break the internet. And you know what? I believe them. Because if there's one thing Johnny Depp has always been able to do, it's surprise us when we least expect it. To really understand why this comeback is so fascinating, we have to rewind. Let's not forget what Johnny Depp has been through in the past decade. For years, his name wasn't associated with art, movies, or creativity. It was dragged into courtroom battles, tabloid headlines, and endless online debates. The trial with Amber Heard wasn't just another celebrity scandal. It became a global media circus. Millions of people tuned in every day. Social media turned it into a spectacle. And no matter which side you were on, one thing was certain. Johnny Depp's career was in jeopardy. Studios didn't want to touch him. Disney distanced itself from Pirates of the Caribbean, the very franchise that made him one of the highest-paid actors in the world. Warner Brothers replaced him in the Fantastic Beasts series. Overnight, Depp went from being one of the most bankable stars in Hollywood to a man who was considered too risky to hire. For some fans, it felt like watching their hero get erased in real time. For others, it seemed like the natural consequence of years of controversy. But one thing was undeniable. Johnny Depp, the Hollywood golden boy, was gone. And yet, here we are today, talking about his comeback. That's because Johnny Depp has never been the type to follow the rules. He doesn't beg for roles. He doesn't chase trends. He's always carved out his own path, and when the world tried to shut him out, he didn't disappear. Instead, he stepped away from the chaos. He retreated to Europe, away from the Hollywood spotlight, and focused on things that truly mattered to him: music, painting, traveling. Being around people who didn't care about the gossip. During those years, he wasn't making headlines every day, but he was still creating. Fans who paid close attention noticed the small things. A painting released here. A performance with his band Hollywood Vampires there. A rare photo of him quietly living his life in France. To the outside world, it might have looked like he vanished, but in reality, Depp was rebuilding. He was rediscovering the version of himself that existed before the fame, before the madness, before the courts turned his life into reality TV. And that's why Day Drinker feels so different. It's not just another project. It's a declaration. It's Johnny Depp saying, I'm still here. I'm still creating, and I'm going to do it my way. The title itself says a lot. It has that tongue-in-cheek humor Depp has always loved. It's rebellious, a little dangerous, and completely unapologetic. It's the kind of name that makes you curious, makes you want to dig deeper. Now, here's where things get interesting. People who have followed Depp closely know that music has always been his first love. Long before he was an actor, he wanted to be a rock star. Acting happened almost by accident, but music was always in his veins. He has performed with legends like Alice Cooper, Joe Perry from Aerosmith, and Jeff Beck. Those Hollywood Vampires tours? They weren't just side gigs. They were proof that Depp was serious about music. He wasn't just a movie star dabbling in it. He was living it, night after night, on stage in front of thousands of people, and now with Day Drinker, it seems like he's ready to take that passion and put it front and center. Insiders say he's been recording, experimenting, and working with some of the biggest names in rock. Fans who have heard snippets describe it as raw, unfiltered, and full of the kind of storytelling only Depp can deliver. Remember, he's not just a performer. He's a storyteller. Whether it's through film, painting, or music, his gift has always been his ability to pull you into his world. And if Day Drinker is his way of telling a new story, it's one the world is ready to hear. But it doesn't stop at music. There's buzz that Day Drinker could expand into something much bigger. Imagine live performances, exclusive art collections, collaborations with designers, maybe even limited edition merch that sells out in minutes. Think about it like this. Johnny Depp is building a universe, not just a project. And fans, they're ready to dive headfirst into it. After years of supporting him through thick and thin, this feels like their reward. A chance to see their favorite star not just surviving, but thriving. Of course, not everyone is convinced. There are critics who think this is nothing more than an attempt to stay relevant. Some believe it won't live up to the hype. But here's the thing, Johnny Depp has never cared about pleasing everyone. He doesn't play it safe. He doesn't follow the Hollywood formula. And that's exactly why his projects, whether they succeed or fail, are always fascinating. Because you never know what you're going to get. That unpredictability has always been his strength. Look at his filmography. Who else could jump from a gothic fantasy like Sleepy Hollow to a gangster drama like Black Mass? Who else could make you laugh as Captain Jack Sparrow one year and creep you out as Sweeney Todd the next? Depp's career has always been about extremes, about refusing to be pinned down. Day Drinker is just the latest example of that fearless creativity. And maybe, just maybe, this could inspire something bigger in Hollywood. Think about how many actors feel trapped by studios, contracts, and reputations. They play it safe because they're afraid of losing everything. Depp already lost it all once, and now he's proving that you can still rise again. He's proving that you don't need Hollywood's approval to create something meaningful. That lesson could spark a wave of change where more stars follow their passions instead of chasing safe paychecks. But let's pause on that thought and really unpack it. Hollywood, at its core, has always been a machine. It's built on big studios, billion-dollar franchises, and formulas that executives believe will guarantee profits. Actors are often just pieces of that puzzle. They sign long contracts, play characters written by committees, and follow schedules that leave them exhausted. For many, it's the dream. Fame, money, red carpets. But the truth is that dream often comes at a price. You can lose yourself. You can lose your voice. And worse, you can become replaceable. Johnny Depp knows this better than most. In the early days of his career, he could have taken the easy road. He was handsome, charming, and had all the makings of a traditional leading man. He could have played safe roles, collected big checks, and lived quietly, but that wasn't who he was. He turned down parts that others would have killed for. He avoided cliché romantic leads and instead chose the strange, the eccentric, the weird. Characters like Edward Scissorhands, Gilbert Grape, and eventually Jack Sparrow weren't just roles. They were risks. Nobody knew if audiences would accept them. But Depp trusted his instincts. He built a career not by following the machine, but by defying it, and yet, despite all that boldness, even he couldn't escape the weight of Hollywood's judgment when things went wrong. One controversy, one trial, one wave of bad press. Suddenly, the machine spat him out. Studios cut ties, executives panicked, and the industry labeled him a liability. For most actors, that would have been the end. For many, the fear of that exact moment keeps them compliant. They smile, they nod, they play it safe, because they know how quickly it can all disappear. But Depp? He's showing us that even when it disappears, you can rebuild. You can step outside the system and still find a way to create. And that's the part that could shake Hollywood. Imagine younger actors watching this unfold. They see a man who lost everything that mattered in terms of career security, but instead of begging for a second chance, he created his own. That's powerful. It tells them that art doesn't have to live only inside studio walls. It can be independent. It can be messy. It can be authentic. Now picture this. An actor who feels stuck in a franchise, repeating the same lines in the same costume for the 5th time, starts thinking, if Johnny Depp can walk away from Hollywood's approval and still thrive, maybe I can too. That thought alone is dangerous to the system, because it suggests freedom. It suggests control, and control is something Hollywood rarely gives its stars. Let's take examples. Think of actors like Robert Pattinson. He was once locked into the Twilight franchise, adored and mocked at the same time, but he walked away and started making strange, artistic films. Now he's Batman and critics respect him. Or look at Kristen Stewart, who went from teen idol to award-winning indie star. Both of them learned that stepping away from the machine could actually save their careers. But imagine if they'd had someone like Depp paving the way even earlier, showing them you don't need permission to create. And it's not just about actors. Directors, musicians, writers, they're all watching too. Hollywood has always been about control. The studio invests, the studio decides, the studio profits. But in the age of social media, streaming platforms, and global audiences, artists have more power than ever to reach people directly. They can bypass the gatekeepers. And if Depp's Day Drinker proves successful, it'll be a perfect example of that new reality. A reminder that audiences don't just want safe blockbusters. They want authenticity. They want passion. They want risk. And let's be honest, audiences have changed. People today are tired of formula films. They want stories that feel personal, raw, and real. They want music that isn't manufactured by algorithms. They want art that carries a heartbeat, not just a marketing plan. Depp's return taps into that hunger. He's not coming back with a carefully crafted studio pitch. He's coming back with something unfiltered. And that's why people are curious. That's why they're paying attention. Because even if Day Drinker is messy, at least it's real. Now imagine the ripple effect. If more stars decide to take that leap, Hollywood itself could shift. Instead of actors begging for roles, studios might have to beg for talent. Instead of artists shaping themselves to fit franchises, franchises might need to adapt to fit artists. The balance of power could change, even if just a little. And it all starts with someone willing to take that first step. Depp isn't the only one testing this path. Look at musicians who left major labels to release music independently and ended up making more money and having more creative freedom. Look at filmmakers who used crowdfunding to bypass studios and still delivered hits. These stories are becoming more common. But when someone with the legacy and name recognition of Johnny Depp does it, it carries a different weight. It makes the industry nervous. Because if he can survive outside the system, what's stopping others from trying? And let's talk about fear for a second. Fear is the invisible chain that holds many actors in place. Fear of losing their contracts. Fear of being blacklisted. Fear of not being relevant anymore. Fear of losing the lifestyle. But Depp has already lived through the worst-case scenario. He lost contracts. He was blacklisted. His relevance was questioned daily. And yet here he is, building something new. That sends a message louder than any motivational speech. It says, even if you lose it all, you can still find your way back. That's the kind of message that can break chains. Of course, it won't happen overnight. Hollywood is still powerful, still profitable, still controlling the biggest stages. But revolutions don't start overnight. They start with small cracks. They start with artists saying no. They start with audiences craving something different. And over time, those cracks widen until the whole system has to change. Depp's comeback might just be one of those cracks, but here's the irony. Hollywood itself might need this change. Think about how often studios are criticized these days. People say everything is a remake, a reboot, a sequel. Box office numbers aren't what they used to be because audiences are bored. They want originality, but studios are too scared to risk it. If artists like Depp prove that originality can thrive outside the system, studios might finally remember that risk is where the magic happens. That's how legends are made. And isn't that exactly what Depp has always embodied? From the beginning, he wasn't about playing it safe. He was about creating characters that were unforgettable, strange, and alive. That's why audiences loved him in the first place. Because he gave us something we didn't know we wanted. And that's exactly what Hollywood has been missing lately. Surprises. So maybe Day Drinker isn't just about Johnny Depp. Maybe it's about something bigger. Maybe it's about reminding everyone that art should be fearless. That careers don't have to be defined by studios. That comebacks are possible even when the world counts you out. And maybe years from now we'll look back and say, that was the moment Hollywood started to change. Because at the end of the day, it only takes one spark to light a fire. And right now, Johnny Depp might be holding the match. But let's talk about the fans for a moment. Because honestly, they're the heart of this comeback. Through every trial, every headline, every career setback, His fans never left. They defended him online. They showed up at his concerts. They cheered when he won in court. They reminded the world that Johnny Depp wasn't just a headline, he was a human being and an artist. And now with Day Drinker, they finally get to celebrate. For them, this isn't just about music or a brand. It's proof that their loyalty wasn't wasted. It's proof that Johnny Depp still has more to give. And isn't that the most exciting part? The idea that after all these years, after all the chaos, Johnny Depp is still full of surprises. That he can still make the world stop and say, wait, what is he doing now? That's the magic of Johnny Depp. You never know what's coming next, but you can't help but watch. So maybe that's why Day Drinker feels so powerful. It's not about the name. It's not about the product. It's about the statement. It's about a man who was written off by Hollywood, who was torn apart in the media, standing up and saying, I'm not done yet. And when someone like Johnny Depp says that, the whole world listens. Now here's where you come in. What do you think Day Drinker really is? Do you believe this is Depp's redemption story? Do you think it's the start of a whole new chapter, or just another wild detour in his unpredictable journey? Either way, one thing is certain. Johnny Depp has our attention again. And no matter what happens next, this moment proves that he's still one of the most captivating figures in entertainment. So sit back, because this story is only just beginning.